get ready for this weekend of home events here on campus at the University of Alabama. We'll start our show by taking a look at what's coming up, plus our headlines thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us this smartboard to go through everything in a very interactive style to begin our show. First of all, coming up on the show, we'll talk to the newest member of the Los Angeles Sparks in the WNBA, Sarah Ashlee Barker. She'll detail draft night, plus what she had in her final performance for the Crimson Tide with a school record 45 points in the final game she played in against Maryland. Great conversation with Sarah Ashlee Barker to begin the show. Then we'll talk NASCAR as well as some Alabama, not just football, with Larry McReynolds. He is along to have a great conversation ahead of the upcoming Talladega race coming up this weekend for our friends at NASCAR, so always enjoy catching up with a lifelong Alabama fan. Larry McReynolds, of course, an analyst for NASCAR on Fox and SiriusXM. Then we'll take a look back to our final Hey Coach edition in Tuscaloosa from this past Monday night. Rob Vaughn details what's ahead for the Crimson Tide this weekend against the Missouri Tigers. Taking a look at baseball to begin our show. This past weekend went 1-2 on the road at LSU. Lost the first two games in Baton Rouge, but last Saturday picked up a win as Zane Adams kind of returned to form for Alabama, getting that start in the final game of the series, so that was certainly good. Great as well to beat Samford 11-7 on Tuesday night, a game that was delayed by 30 minutes at the start due to rain and was all tied at 7 until deep into the ball game before the Crimson Tide had a late rally and picked up an impressive 11-7 win in a game that featured a home run for Garrett Staten in his return to Samford's campus. So a great win there to stay undefeated in midweek games this season. Now for the Crimson Tide, the challenge coming up, the Missouri Tigers starting tonight, a three-game series Thursday through Saturday at Sewell Thomas Stadium, as we only have 6 home games left this season and 3 of them coming up over the next 3 days. So make sure you get to the Joe for some Crimson Tide baseball starting tonight at 7 o'clock. At the end of games, we've loved watching Carson Osmer, the closer for the Crimson Tide, as he is already tied for second in Alabama history with 13 saves this year. One more save, and he will tie the record coming up, so could be as early as tonight. Carson Osmer picks up another save. For that, he has been named to the Stopper of the Year midseason watch list. You could see Carson Osmer currently leads the SEC in saves. He very well could win that prestigious honor. For the Crimson Tide softball team, they'll also be at home against Missouri this weekend. This past weekend went 1-2 against the Florida Gators and then followed it up on Tuesday with a midweek win, beating Alabama State 7-0 in Montgomery. As I mentioned, Missouri is coming up for the Crimson Tide in a Friday through Sunday series that will be the last time you can see the Crimson Tide at home this season in the regular season. But we are expecting Alabama will be coming back to the Rhodes Stadium, the Rhodes House, for NCAA regional play. And who knows, maybe super regional play after that. Some other notes around Crimson Tide athletics. Best of luck to Jay Sewell and the men's golf team as the SEC championship is underway. And also rolled tide to Alabama alum Justin Thomas, who picked up a win at the RBC Heritage on the PGA Tour this past Sunday. It's his first win in 3 years. So rolled tide and a happy milkshake to Justin Thomas winning out at Hilton Head. For the Crimson Tide, 69 student athletes on the SEC Winter Academic Honor Roll, including one of our guests coming up today, Sarah Ashlee Barker. In women's tennis, Petra Sedlakova named All-SEC second team after a tremendous season for her. And tonight, some dreams will be realized as the NFL Draft begins tonight in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We look forward to having a breakdown on Alabama players selected in the draft coming up on next week's show, but we will be watching that NFL Draft coming up. Last Monday, we were watching the WNBA draft along with Alabama softball taking on Oklahoma. It led to some great moments at Rhodes Stadium for both Crimson Tide softball team and for Sarah Ashlee Barker. A first-round draft pick going number 9 overall in the WNBA draft to the LA Sparks. She joins us now from Los Angeles to detail what this has been like going from Alabama to LA. How would you describe the last couple weeks and the whirlwind it's been for you to go from Alabama to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I mean, first off, just gratitude. I'm just so grateful for just the opportunity and just my journey and all that. The past couple 3 weeks it's been a journey. I mean, I was on a lot of Zoom calls, I was doing a lot of meetings and stuff like that, meeting with WNBA teams, and then obviously getting invited to the draft. I found out that I was invited on like a Wednesday, and they were like, "Hey, you're flying out Friday." So that was a pretty quick turnaround. And then just getting some of my friends and all that to come up there with me too. My mom, my brothers, and my dad weren't able to come just because of how quick the turnaround was. But but they were watching from back home, and so I know that they were so supportive of that and all that. And then obviously draft night was just like a dream. I mean, I got to watch, you know, I got to walk the orange carpet. My bad, not watch. I got to walk the orange carpet, which was cool. And then, just hearing my name called, and also seeing Aaliyah was really cool. So just seeing her in the stands and knowing that she was gonna go somewhere as well. And then just when I heard LA call my name, I think it was just one of those things that was just awesome and just something that I was so grateful for. And I got to be able to hug my mom. And then Christy was there. Joni, who was my coach at Georgia, was there, and then my agent Adam was. We were all at the table together. And so obviously hugging my mom was like one of the most important things to me. And so it was a lot of fun. And then I got to celebrate with a couple friends after the draft. So it's cool.
That's really special, and it is such a quick turnaround from the end of the college season towards the WNBA draft. You mentioned you got to meet with a few teams, but there really wasn't much time to get ready for all of this. So did you have an idea that LA was one of the possibilities of where you could end up?
Yeah, I mean, I knew LA liked me a lot, and so I knew that if the draft kind of went how we had hoped, that I would there was a good possibility that I was going to end up in LA. I talked to teams mostly from like the picks of like 7 to like 15. So I knew that I was kind of going in that range of 7 to 15, and I did know that LA liked me a bunch. And so when they were on the clock, it was kind of like one of those things where I was like, all right, this could be me. And so when they did call my name, I was like, this is awesome. So
That's really good. Was it really a nerve-wracking time watching those early picks come in until LA called your name, or how'd you manage all that? We know you're cool under pressure, but that's a different type of nerves, not knowing where you're going to
Right.
go.
Right. I mean, I think it was one of those things where like 1 through 6, I was kind of just like calm. And then once 7 hit, I was like, all right, like it could kind of go anywhere now. Like my name could get called at any point. And so I want to say after like the 8th pick, there was like a 10-minute like gap. It was like a commercial break, then they did like an interview, and I was like, oh my gosh, like LA's been on the clock for so long. Like this is and so I looked at my mom at one point, I was like, when are they gonna announce who LA got and stuff like that? And so I was definitely nervous, but I think it was like good nerves. It was just kind of like, where am I gonna end up? And then obviously when I heard my name called, I was just like, all those nerves just kind of just like came off of me, and it was just more of like an emotional type, like gratitude type thing that I just felt in my heart and just was like, wow, like this is freaking awesome. Like I just heard my name called. So
Great reaction from everyone with you, of course, at the draft. But how about the reactions pouring in from your friends, your family, and then people all over Alabama? The softball celebration that was
yeah.
had at the game. I mean, how meaningful was all that to see?
Yeah, it meant everything to me. I mean, I had so many of my friends and family sending me videos and screaming at the TV. Like, one of my mom's friends was at our house back at home videoing my brothers, and so seeing their reaction when my name was called was really really cool. And then obviously just the text that I got, just saying how proud everyone was for me, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, like my name was the one that was called, but there's so many people in my life that has helped me along this journey. There's so many people in my life that have truly like gotten me to where I am, and have been there through the ups and downs. Like it's really easy to have people in your life when everything's great and all sunshines and rainbows and all this. But it's the ones that stick in your corner even when things aren't going the way you thought it would, or when you're in that season of just where you just kind of got to get out of that slump, or you got to do this, you got to do that, and it's not all just a high. And so those type of friends and those type of people that texted me just like meant the world to me. And then obviously seeing the softball video, Anna got to show it to me. I loved having Anna and Nick there. Like that was freaking awesome. Like just being able to see them and be with them. And so Anna was showing me the softball video, and just seeing how many people cheered, like, and just that it was just, and in my opinion, how great it was that it was at like a women's game in Tuscaloosa was so cool just for women's sports in general. And how about they were playing freaking Oklahoma and ended up winning that game? That was just crazy. I mean, you knew the fans were into it just off of their reaction from mine and Aaliyah's video, and that's just because Alabama softball was doing their thing that night too. So.
Yeah, great night for Alabama across the board, and specifically with women's basketball. You mentioned Aaliyah was there, only picked a few picks after you. Just how great was that to watch in person as her dreams became true? And then later on in the draft, Zay Green also getting selected.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome just having her there. We saw each other before the draft, and we hugged each other, and we were just, talking a little bit. And so because as soon as you get drafted, you got to go to all these interviews and that kind of stuff. And so I was up there doing interviews, and I look and I see Aaliyah, and I'm like, let's go, like. And I was just so excited for her and just how hard she works. And then obviously like we were waiting to see where Zay was gonna go. And so when I got told that that Zay got drafted, I was like that it just made my heart happy just to know how much work she's put in, just to know how great of a person she is, and like she's gonna do amazing wherever she's at. And same with Aaliyah, like just I think is I was so grateful for my name being called, but like I think it meant more to me that their name was called too because of like what they've done for me. Like I wouldn't have been able to do what I do if like I didn't have two other great players alongside me to help take off the pressure and help do those other things when it wasn't my night. They were able to step up and do what they do, and we all just kind of like throughout the year we just all wanted to win, and we knew that if we just could buy in and be with each other, that everything else was going to fall into place where it came for any of us getting drafted. And I think that's what's so special about the three of us is like we truly love and care about each other, and we just want what's best for each other.
What does it say too about this program that it can produce three WNBA draft picks and five in the last handful of years with Jasmine Walker, Brittany Davis involved? I mean, Coach Curry has really sent a lot of great players to the WNBA, and does that really raise the bar for Alabama women's basketball in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, hey, like what's going on in Alabama? What are they doing development wise that's getting these girls to be able to get drafted and get to the next level? And then obviously like what you do on the floor matters too. Like you've got to be able to win basketball games. And I think that you've been able to see in the last 5 years, Alabama has been kind of climbing up that ladder at a at a gradual pace, and they're not done. I think that they want to continue to grow and want to continue to keep reaching the bar and trying to get better and better every single year. And so I think it's one of those things where it's like, hey, like it's a good recruiting tip in my opinion. I think that they can use it in a way of like, hey, we're gonna have these WNBA players back in our coming on campus and being able to be around you and being able to impact you and that kind of stuff. And I mean, I just remember when any former player would come back, into Foster or Coleman, like and come to our practices, like it means a lot to you just because of how much they poured in. And so I think it's just you're like, hey, we've got three WNBA players coming back to practice. Like that says something, and you want to be able to have those type of people come back and just that caliber of a player, if that makes sense.
It really does. And really, last note on Alabama to touch on with you, the last time we saw you in a Crimson Tide jersey, obviously a tough night
Mm.
falling in the round of 32 to Maryland, but an amazing performance by you with 45 points. Had those three critical free throws at the end of the first overtime period to even get us in the second overtime. You've talked about that night, but a couple weeks away from it now, and then seeing the reaction that all of Alabama fans had for you that night, just what do you remember about what that performance meant to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I really didn't even realize that I mean, that's how my performance was going until Coach Kelly just kind of came up to me. He was like, after the game, he's like, "Hey, I don't think you realized what you just did." And like, it just kind of like, because I mean, obviously our season ended, so like that was kind of the last thing I was thinking about was 45 points, and I knew the three free throws. Like when I hit them, I knew they were like. I mean, I think anybody that would up on the line and know in their head, like, oh, if I don't hit these three free throws, like we're losing and like we're going home. So I knew that was a big deal, but I honestly didn't even realize about the 45 points until he said something to me. And I think in that moment, it was just kind of like a sense of gratitude, I guess. I mean, if there was any way that I would have wanted to go out, I guess it was that way. And just knowing that it wasn't about the 45, it was more knowing that I left it all out there on the floor and that I did try to do everything that I could. But at the same time, it was like, I wouldn't have gotten 45 if I didn't have all those other people on the floor with me. Like Zay Green was passing me the ball. Aaliyah takes up so much attention because she's the best shooter in the country. So like I had abilities to get to the rim and have a one-on-one to beat my defender, and that's because of the players that I had on my team. Essence Cody was scoring from the paint. I was able to get her some passes, and everybody else was able to get her passes. But like that 45 is not just a me thing. Like it's a we thing, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from that game is like if I didn't have those people on the floor and the coaches that I have that have confidence in me and putting the ball in my hands, like I wouldn't have gotten the 45. And that's what it comes down to. And so it's just a sense of gratitude of like how lucky I am that I have teammates like that, how lucky I am that I have coaches like that, and just and it's one of those games that I'll definitely remember for the rest of my life, and probably one of those games that will be talked about for the rest of Alabama's history. So
Absolutely. Great performance by you. The last time we get to see you in Crimson. Now we get to watch you in purple and gold for the LA Sparks. Just tell us
yeah.
about the next whirlwind that's coming up, getting to Los Angeles and everything that's coming up for you in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We start training camp on Sunday, and so obviously, just getting some workouts in and just getting ready for that Sunday and being around the team a little bit and stuff. We had a team meeting today, which was really cool. It was a lot of fun. I got to work out with Kelsey Plum this morning. She's awesome. But every person that I've met on the team, they've just been so sweet and so nice, and just trying to help in any way. All the coaches are great. Coach Lynn Roberts, obviously, it's her first year here, so I just excited about what she's gonna bring here and what she expects from us and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously Reagan, the GM, just very grateful that they chose me and chose me to come to LA. And just their vision for the Sparks and how they want the Sparks to continue to build and become great, and just the legacy that the Sparks have in the past. Like they're trying to get that back up, and make it an every year type of thing. And so I'm just really excited to play alongside of just great players, great vets. And it's just one of those things where it's just like you just got to go in and work as hard as you can. I mean, you still got to make the team, so it's like it is training camp. You're still kind of trying out for the team. It doesn't really matter that you got drafted. Like it's a big thing you got drafted, but like you still got to go in and do your thing and make the team. And so that's where my mindset is just hey, just go in and do the little things. Try to defend as best as you can, and then obviously learn from the vets. Like I have so many great people that I can learn from, so many great coaches, and then obviously Mike Neighbors was at Arkansas, and so he recruited me when I was coming out of high school, and even when I put my name in the portal. And so just having a familiar face with him is awesome. But I'm really excited, and I think the biggest thing is just how grateful I am that I'm even in LA, and just so grateful that I have this opportunity.
To any Sparks fans that are watching, what can you tell them about your game and what you're going to bring to the floor each night?
Yeah, just somebody that's gonna give 100%. I mean, I'm gonna dive on the floor. I'm gonna do whatever the team needs me to do. I'm gonna play my role, whatever that may be. If that's playing defense and rebounding, that's what I'm gonna do. And I want to do those things. I want to be able to get the ball in other people's hands and be able to defend some of the best players and take up some load that way. And then obviously do those little things of rebounding and just the hustle plays. That's what I can do every single night, and I know that. That's an effort type thing in my opinion, and I feel like that. My effort is always going to be 100%, like I said earlier. And then I can also score the ball too. So if I need to, hit a shot, or if the ball is in my hands where I do get to be able to get to the rim or do that, like I got to be able to capitalize on those moments and on those possessions of when it is in my hands, and be able to capitalize it on the right time, if that makes sense. But I mean, I'm just excited to just learn from other people. So
We can't wait to watch. Well, Sarah Ashlee Barker, thank you for the time you've given us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We're always going to be proud of you for everything you've
thank
done at
you.
Alabama, but especially looking forward to seeing what's coming up for you in the WNBA. Just all the best out in Los Angeles. Best of luck. Roll Tide. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so much. Roll Tide.
Alabama racing is back. Don't miss the opportunity to experience the NASCAR Cup Series at Talladega. Witness the return of racing on April 27th and be a part of NASCAR's biggest and baddest track. From the blistering speed on the track to the unparalleled fan access of the Talladega Garage experience, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Tickets are on sale now. Secure your seats today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Best of luck to Sarah Ashlee Barker as she begins her professional basketball journey coming up later this week with training camp starting and, of course, the game starting for the LA Sparks. This weekend, it's all happening in Talladega. NASCAR returning to Talladega, what's going to be an outstanding weekend of races, culminating in the Cup Series race coming up on Sunday afternoon. Someone that's going to be on the call for Fox Sports and, of course, with coverage all throughout the week on SiriusXM, Larry McReynolds, a longtime Alabama fan. He has joined us periodically here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, to give us his thoughts, not just on NASCAR. We'll get all you NASCAR fans up to date on what's going on this season around the circuit, but also he'll give his thoughts on Alabama football. He always has the depth chart memorized. He always has some great stats he'll give us. He'll even talk some Crimson Tide basketball coming up. Here's our conversation with one of our good friends on the network, Larry McReynolds. Larry McReynolds, who joins us now to talk a little Crimson Tide athletics as well as NASCAR. And Larry, it's great to see you. Roll Tide. How's everything in your world?
Everything's good. Yeah, roll tide. I cannot believe that spring football's over and we'll get through the summer. I'm sure the summer will be like a blur, just like the beginning of 2025 has been. You and I were speaking before the show. Can't believe we're just a little over a week away from the month of May. We actually only have 4 more race weekends with NASCAR and Fox before we hand it off to Amazon Prime. And our parents tried to tell us the older we got, the more time was gonna fly, and they were absolutely spot on. That's for sure.
They really have been. So let's start with this NASCAR season. Just some of your takeaways. We've seen some very familiar faces win a lot of different races, whether it's Christopher Bell the last few weeks, Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin going back and forth a bit. Just what have you made of the Cup Series so far this year?
It's been an interesting season, and it's hard to believe, Roger. We are a fourth of the way through 2025. We're a third of the way through the regular season. I know it seems early. We just had our first off weekend, realistically, of the year. After the first 9 races, we took Easter off. Now, Trucks and Xfinity, they were at Rockingham running, but now it'll be 28 consecutive weeks of racing for the Cup Series, including the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro here in a few weeks. The next off weekend these teams and drivers will be basically once the season is over in early November. Yeah, we've had a lot of lead changes. We've had a lot of different drivers finish inside the top 5, the top 10. Last lap passes, we've had a lot of those this year. But at the end of the day, it's been Joe Gibbs Racing, who's now won 5 races, Hendrick Motorsports, who's now won 3 races. Yeah, the 21 car, the Wood brothers with Josh Berry, they won Las Vegas. Team Penske has good speed. Outside of that, everybody else looks like they've got a lot of work to do. I know a lot of people are anxious to get to Talladega this coming weekend. We know that's kind of the equalizer. We get that surprise winner like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. back in the fall. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's been all about Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendrick Motorsports. They have won all but one of the races so far in 2025.
You mentioned no race for the Cup Series of this past week, getting ready for Talladega. What's it like in these garages and even back home, getting in these shops, getting ready for a week like this when you've been at Darlington, you've been at Bristol, but now you have a couple weeks to get ready for a super speedway like Talladega?
Yeah, Roger, these teams and organizations, for the most part in the Cup Series, they have so much depth. I'd be willing to bet probably even before teams went to Darlington a couple of weeks ago, their Talladega car was probably all but done. They stay way ahead of the curve. I've talked to a lot of crew chiefs, a lot of engineers over the last week and a half. I think a lot of the crew chiefs and a lot of the guys that go on the road because of this 28 race stretch coming, they took a good solid week off leading into Easter. But there's so much depth with these organizations now. They normally stay 2 or 3 or 4 weeks out being prepared and ready for their race cars.
And then for a driver, what's most important when you make that switch from short track racing to what we're going to see coming up this weekend?
You know, I've learned with these drivers, Roger, they're the best in the business. They can go straight from completing the last lap at Bristol straight to Talladega this Saturday. Remember, no practice. Unload them, go through inspection, drop their hammer on Saturday morning and go qualify, and then race on Sunday. I don't think it affects these guys. Yeah, maybe it takes them a little bit into the race to get a little bit in the rhythm, but it doesn't take them long because simulator. They've been in the simulator for all these different races. There's no telling the top teams, the top drivers, how many hours they spend in a simulator just turning laps at different racetracks. Maybe not so much that many for Talladega because we know how the draft works, but I can promise you they spend a ton of time in a simulator with their crew chiefs, engineers making changes to the simulator to see how the changes affects the driving of the car as they prepare for the upcoming race weekend.
Jack Link's 500 coming up on Sunday in Talladega. I know you'll probably have some picks later in the week, but do you feel like it's going to be some of the usual suspects from Joe Gibbs Racing or Hendrick Motorsports that could see their way to victory lane coming up this week?
You know, we normally don't see Joe Gibbs winning the races that much at Talladega. Tyler Reddick, of course, in a Toyota, won this race a year ago. We've had 9 different winners in the last 9 races there. That is a record for Talladega. And think about it. We've been coming there since 1969. Daytona, Talladega, it just seems like it's unpredictable. I tell people all the time, they'll ask me almost what you asked me. Who do you like this week? You know what? Throw the numbers in a hat, draw a number out. You'll probably do a better job I can of anticipating who's going to win this thing because, Roger, we know the deal there. You can have a fast race car. You can have a great handling race car. Your pit stops can be flawless. Your strategy can be absolutely spot on, but it's maybe going to come down to the last corner of the last lap that determines your day may be good or bad. Go back to this race a year ago. Tyler Reddick was running fifth when they came off turn 4, the checkered flag waving. Micah McDowell was leading. He threw a block that went bad on Brad Keselowski. Tyler Reddick went from fifth to first between turn 4 and the start finish line. So it's an absolute chess match. It's a crapshoot. We had over 70 something lead changes in this race a year ago. Well over half the field led laps in that race. We think about Team Penske, the Fords, they seem to always be strong, but they've only won one race in the Gen 7 car at Talladega and only won one race at Daytona in the Gen 7 car, and that was Austin Cindric in the 2022 Daytona 500. So I guess long-winded answer to your question, I have no idea.
Just wait till the last lap, right?
That's it. That's it.
Well, it's a special place, Talladega, and so many Alabama football players, student athletes from other sports, they're going to go to the race coming up on Sunday, and most of them will get the Talladega Garage experience. Any details these guys should be looking out for as they take a look at these cars and these different setups before the race begins?
I would encourage them to go to pit road during the race because these pit crews today, Roger, so many of them played college football, pro football. We've even got a jack man down on pit road that was a professional hockey player. These guys are truly athletes. I remember Jalen Milroe actually came to this race a year ago. But yeah, definitely go in and look at these race cars because they're such a work of art, if you might say. When you think about that 3,500 pound race car that's about to go out there and run 180, 190 miles an hour for well over 3 hours, 188 laps and 500 miles. But I would encourage these football players to go out there and watch the pit crews because who knows, one of them may actually be out there on pit road down the road in the future, changing tires or jacking a car.
That certainly would be cool. And you mentioned these cars, a work of art. We had the throwback weekend a few weeks ago. Saw you in the Davey Allison Havoline suit on pit road. Really cool to see. What's your all-time favorite paint scheme of a NASCAR car?
Well, it's probably self-serving, but I think it would probably have to be that Texaco Havoline paint scheme. Of course, it was a team I worked for over 6 years, Robert Yates Racing, with Davey Allison, with Dale Jarrett, with Ernie Irvin. Was able to have so much success with those three drivers, especially Davey and Ernie. And it was one of those paint schemes where you didn't need to see the lettering on it. When you saw that big star on the hood, you know it was the Texaco Havoline Ford Thunderbird. I know that's a little bit self-serving, but I always loved the Wood Brothers paint scheme. You know, the white with the red roof, whether it was David Pearson or even today Josh Berry driving, that's kind of iconic. And then, of course, anything to do with the King, Richard Petty, with the STP colors, that's synonymous. I think everybody that's even just barely knows anything about racing, when they see that paint scheme, they know that's Richard Petty, the King.
Nothing like that Petty blue. Well, we know that's one of your favorite colors. Crimson, your also favorite color as well, especially when it comes to Alabama football. We talked last time in the fall about what you were seeing from Kalen DeBoer in year one as the head coach. Just as you get ready for year two for Alabama football in the DeBoer era, what do you feel like is going to be most important for this football team moving forward?
Yeah, I go back and I look at last year, and then I even look at the roster this year, Roger. And we don't have a lot of seniors, which to me is a good thing. There's a lot of sophomores. There's a lot of juniors on this squad coming up. I'm not sure. I guess Ty Simpson, maybe he's going to get the call as a starting quarterback. Ryan Williams, I am so excited about this young man. Just a sophomore coming up. The season he had last year as a freshman. I know Jam Miller, one of our running backs, he's one of those seniors. Kalen DeBoer, I still feel like he can coach, and people may throw stuff at me. He can coach as good as Nick Saban. Can he recruit as good as Nick Saban? The kids want to play football for Kalen DeBoer as much as they wanted to play for Nick Saban. The one thing I felt like was missing last year was discipline. I think we have to have more discipline on both sides of the football. When I see how many offsides and false start penalties we would get at home, that shouldn't happen. And that's just simply discipline. That's not about talent playing football. That's just flat discipline. And I think that's something that has to be better this year than it was last year.
How much did you enjoy the run this basketball team had this past year?
I don't know that I ever saw this coming a number of years ago. I used to tell people all the time, we just play basketball in Tuscaloosa as a courtesy to the NCAA. But what a turnaround Nate Oates has done. What has he been there now, 5 or 6 years? I didn't have a good feeling about the Duke game going into it. I felt like our guys, a phenomenal basketball team, they maybe depended on the big shots too much. I think when you play a middle tier team, you can get by with slinging those 3-pointers. But when you go up against somebody like Duke, you've got to work the boards. And that's something we didn't do a good job at. But it was kind of my gut feeling going into the game against Duke. But I'm sure Nate, he's just reloading again, getting ready for next year. And maybe we can get back to that Final Four.
We certainly look forward to that. Well, we're also looking forward to getting back to Talladega coming up this weekend. Just tell us where you'll be coming up with all your coverage of all the races this weekend.
Yeah, again, the trucks are off this weekend. Of course, the CW has Xfinity Series on Saturday. We've got our Cup race. It's 2:00 on Fox, Central Time, local time. Our pre-race show starts on FS1 at 12:30 Central Time. And if you're around the area on Friday, the Oxford Mall, right there by the Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm going to be there from 12 noon to 2 p.m. local time, signing autographs, mixing, mingling with fans. So come out and visit me there. Again, that's 12:00 noon local time on Friday, Oxford Mall, right there around Buffalo Wild Wings. You'll see 2 tents. Looking forward to being there. The weather looks good, especially for Sunday. You never know, maybe Saturday, I don't know, but we got a doubleheader on Saturday. We got the Arca Menard Series race. We got the Xfinity Series race, 9:30, early in the morning. These guys are going to have a cup of coffee and go out there and try to qualify these cars. We'll be covering qualifying on Amazon Prime, but it'll be the whole Fox crew.
We look forward to it. Well, Larry Mack, enjoy everything coming up this weekend in Talladega. Thank you again, and we look forward to having you back with us coming up later this year on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. All the best. Roll Tide.
Well, Roll Tide, I'm looking forward to being back at my home track. It's been a while since I've been down there because I've been in the studio for the last few years. Looking forward to getting down there. We'll always remember being able to win there in 1992 with Davey Allison in that 28 car we were speaking about, and looking forward to kicking that pigskin off late August, early September, and see what our boys from T-Town's got for them this year.
Iron made this place. But in order to take it all home, you need nerves of steel. The big one is back. Get your tickets now at TalladagaSuperspeedway.com.
This past Monday was our final edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Here in Baumhauer's in Tuscaloosa, we will have an edition of the show coming up on Monday in Foley, Alabama at Baumhauer's Victory Grill with Chris Stewart. We look forward to that show coming up. But it was our last one in Tuscaloosa this past Monday night, and we focused on baseball. If you want to go back and watch, we had conversations with Alabama pitcher Colson Buchanan, as well as left fielder and captain Cade Snell. Then our final guest was the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Rob Vaughn. Fun conversation with him about what he's seen from Alabama so far this season and what's ahead, as we still have a lot of SEC baseball to play here in 2025. Here's the best of our conversation with Rob Vaughn from Monday night. For you and the Crimson Tide, just what are your main takeaways from what we saw over 3 games in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that place is something else. I tell you what, it was, the atmosphere there was electric. And, you know, the game on Thursday went about as according to plan as we could have had it. You know, you got a elite arm in Cade Anderson on the mound, going to be a first-rounder, and we kind of wore him out. Cade hit a couple homers off him. We're up 5-1 in the 6th and got our guys in the game, and just couldn't quite finish it. You know, went to some guys in the bullpen, and they just ran a couple balls out of the yard in big spots, and when that place gets going, it's something, you know, and it was just hard to stop that first game. And we just didn't play awesome baseball, I didn't think. You know, we did some good things, but just we've been such a solid defensive team this year and just didn't play great defense in some big spots. And at a place like that, against a team like that, when you give them extra outs, they generally capitalize. And that's what got us the first 2 games, and we just went out and played a really good baseball game on Saturday and had a lead basically the whole way, and you know, turned it to Oz there at the end, and that's why Oz is Oz, man. I mean, it was rocking, and it didn't affect him one bit, and go out and finish that thing. So, you know, one of those weekends that you kind of sit back and kick yourself a little bit because you feel like you let one get away from you. You very easily could have won the series, but that's baseball. That's especially baseball in this league. One mistake will get you, and that's what it did. So we got out of there on Saturday with a win and turn our attention to Sanford tomorrow.
Before we go to the phones, you mentioned the Saturday win. How good was it to see Zane Adams get back to the form we've seen out of him, not only throughout his freshman year, but as a sophomore as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of this game that's mental, and you've seen it. Zaner was elite for us last year, had some great starts for us this year, and kind of got knocked off the horse a little bit the last 2 weekends. And just wanted to give him a couple extra days and got his feet back underneath him, maybe, get him off of that game one start. And, even in the first, I felt like he was still feeling for his stuff a little bit. Wasn't quite crisp, wasn't quite just sending his stuff, and gets a huge double play ball, gets out of the first, and really he had an at-bat against Stanfield in the second. There was a long at-bat, got him on a really good breaking ball to punch him out, and from then on, you saw his stuff just get back to Zane Adams' stuff. He started stuffing the fastball in through some really good changeups, had feel for the breaking ball, just got back to being Zane. So it was great to get him back. We're going to need him down this stretch run to be the guy that we all know he's capable of. So if you can go do it at the box, you can do it anywhere.
Absolutely. Tonight's first question to Coach Vaughn from the phones, brought to you by Alabama 811 to help prevent injuries, outages, and loss of life. Call 811 or visit al811.com. Before you dig, it is free, it is simple, and it's the law. We go to the McCurry Van and Car Rental Hotline to Pee Wee, who joins us now from Grand Bay, Alabama. Roll Tide, Pee Wee.
Roll Tide, Roger. Coach, how are you doing, sir?
Couldn't be any better. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Coach, we are 9-9 in the SEC 500. We've got 12 games left in the rest of the season. I was just curious, how many of these do you think that we need to win to be able to at least secure a one-round bye? And what would be the biggest emphasis of these last 12 games to be able to do that?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, and this is going to be me doing the thing I tell our players not to do, which is look ahead to these extra games. But I think the big thing here, this weekend's going to be big. Missouri is scuffled a little bit this year, but I've been around this game long enough. They're going to get somebody. They're going to get somebody at some point. We got to do our job to make sure that's not us this weekend. And so we got to come out and play a really good one this weekend. Then you go on the road to Vanderbilt, who's kind of been Jekyll and Hyde a little bit, can really pitch it, have had some tough weekends, but just had a big-time sweep at Georgia last weekend. We get Georgia back at home, which is where you want to play those guys. You kind of look at their splits. Their numbers are very, very different at home versus on the road, and then you finish on the road in Gainesville against the Gators. So, I think historically the SEC would tell you win 14, 15 games, you're pretty much a lock to get into the NCAA tournament. But I think this group's got their sights set on a lot more than that, and I think we get to that 16, 17 number. I think we play baseball here in June, which is exactly what we all want to do. I've heard stories in 23 about how rocking the Joe was in that regional, and we want to bring that back this year.
Pee Wee, thank you for the call. Let's stay with the phones right now, the McCurry Van and Car Rental Hotline. Let's go next to Tuscaloosa, where Alex joins us now. Roll Tide, Alex.
Roll Tide. How are we doing, Coach?
Oh, I'm great, man. How about you?
Doing well. So Buck talked about it a little earlier, but from the top down, what's the attitude behind, like, when you go into these games like you have tomorrow at Sanford? This is a huge program game for them. Like, what's the message from the top down?
Yeah, man, I think that's been what this group has been just elite at up to this point this year. Is you see it all the time in the SEC. You see these SEC weekends that, man, they're emotional. You're playing in front of 10,000 people. It's loud. It's crazy. It takes a lot out of you. And you see these SEC teams coming to Tuesday, Wednesday games and just stub their toe because it does. It's an emotionally taxing weekend. And what our group has been incredibly impressive with this year is, man, every game is an opportunity. It's one of the things I love about rugby. I don't know a lot about the rules of rugby. I don't know much about any of that stuff, but they refer to all their competitions as tests. Like, that's a test match. That's a test. And that's what I've challenged our guys with this year. Every game we go out, it doesn't matter if it's LSU in front of, 10,000 people at the box, or if it's, in front of whatever we're going to have tomorrow at Sanford. It's a test for us. Can we come out and be mature enough in our approach? Can we come out and play our game? Can we come out and execute at the level we need to execute at? And this team, man, I tell you, the gene that they've had, you can throw everything else out the window. Yes, there's good players. Yes, there's all that thing. But, man, there's 40 winners that sit over in that dugout. And I think that's the reason we've ended up on the right side of a lot of these things is they expect to win. They prepare to win. mentally they're just cut from a little bit different cloth than a lot of teams I've been fortunate enough to coach. So love this group, and it's gonna be a big test tomorrow. You're gonna have some rain early in the day. Who knows what our pregame preparation is gonna look like as they're getting their field and everything ready to go. So all those things just present an opportunity for you to come out and be flat. But I trust our leadership of our team, and our boys will be ready to go at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
And we talked about before kind of the mental mindset for this group. Even when everything was going well early in the season, you talked about how they've been tough, blue collar, coming to that field with that winning mindset each and every game. Is it refreshing to see it too, even with some losses sprinkled in over the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think that's when things get tested, right? Like it's fun. It's fun for fans. It's fun for us. It's fun to go home and hang out after 20 wins in a row and all this stuff. It's fun, but at the end of the day, what we're really doing here is you're building a culture and you're building people and you're building a program. And man, you get tested in the losses. You get tested in the struggle. Like that's when you actually figure out what your group's made of. It ain't hard to have each other's back. It's not hard to say you care about each other. It's not hard to do all those things when everything's going right. Everybody's hitting 370. Everybody's pitching at a 1. It's easy, but that's not the way life works. That's not the way college baseball works. That's for these kids to be incredibly successful when their time in Tuscaloosa is over. That's what it takes. Like, can you pick yourself up off the mat? When you get that gut punch and you get that bad medical diagnosis, you get fired, you get whatever it is in life, which is what a majority of these young people will do when they're done. Can you just keep getting up off the mat? Because that's not normal. A lot of people want to sit and suck their thumb and feel bad for themselves. I got 40 dudes that don't behave that way, and that's why this season has gone the way it's gone, and it's going to continue to move that way, and that's why these kids are going to be incredibly successful when their time on the baseball field's done.
Coach, we've seen a few lineup changes here and there, getting Bryce Fowler now to the top of the order, and Richie Bonamolo keeps hitting for power. We talked about how that was a good thing batting leadoff. What do you like it now in the middle of the order?
Yeah, I think, Bryce is the guy that I loved at the top. He just, like a lot of hitters, just had about a 2-week span that was kind of allergic to getting hits there for a little bit. So just took some pressure off and moved him down in the order. That took a week, and he got himself back going, so we were able to get him back to the top. We were looking this weekend going into LSU, and over the last 10 games, he had our best on-base percentage out of anybody. So wanting to get him back to the top, set the table for Braun and Cade, but at the same time, Bono was, he's just been good everywhere we put him. He's elite in the 9. We moved him up to the 1, was awesome. He handles spin, he can handle velocity, he can handle all that stuff, which is perfect right in the middle, and he's been great. Had an awesome weekend in LSU, man. Had a huge homer on Saturday. Just missed another one late, but just a really good ball player, man. Can really defend, and just really like him there in the middle of the order to just give us a good productive at bat with those guys on in front of him.
And also the last few weeks, Alabama working with the pitching rotation. We've seen Tyler Fay make back-to-back starts. So what do you like about his innings on the mound in Baton Rouge, especially after what we saw against Mississippi State here in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, a couple things with T-Fay. He's had such good stuff, and we've just been trying to get him kind of figure out where the best role is for him. We've tried him in the bullpen. We've tried him in certain situations, and it's not that he has been bad. It just hasn't been as good as I think him or us would want it to be. And JJ, me, and Mo were talking the other day, and it was like, man, let's see if this stuff plays better at the beginning, and so we gave him that spot start there, last weekend, and he threw the ball well. And he's been fastball, slider, changeup a big part of his career. This summer he started playing with a cutter, and I tell you what, that cutter has been kind of a game changer for him because it's just a little bit tighter than the slider, a little bit harder than the slider. He can run it up under lefty's hands, and he did a really good job throwing that the last 2 weeks. So the unfortunate piece is with a short turnaround, him going Sunday to Thursday, we couldn't extend him much more. You saw him by the end. He started getting up in the zone a little more, started getting tired, but hopefully now on regular rest we can get a little bit more out of T-Fay, hopefully get him in that 75-80 pitch range and get him into a good start because he seems to like that role. He feels good in that role, and I'm telling you, that place was rocking on Thursday night, and he did nothing but sit there and execute pitches. He outpitched Cade Anderson, who's going to be a first-rounder. He outpitched him for 5 innings, and so really happy with Tyler and just happy for him. These kids put so much into it, and so to see them get rewarded for that's pretty cool.
You mentioned the cutter for him, and also Colson Buchanan brought that up. We've seen that with Riley Quick as well. Is that one of the great pitches that JJ is able to teach these guys while they're here?
Yeah, I think it's just such a hard pitch for hitters. I didn't see cutters until I got to pro ball. Nobody in college threw a cutter when I was in college, and you get there and it looks like a heater, and you're, especially as hard as guys are throwing now, it's you know, it looks like a fastball away and it disappears, or it looks like a fastball in and it just disappears on you. It's just a harder pitch to see. And so, yeah, JJ and Mo do a great job working with those guys. And some guys can throw that, some guys can't. You know, Buck's added it to his arsenal, but man, that curveball's still his moneymaker, you know, and he's been outstanding with it. But Riley, that's been a game changer for him too, man. You saw the way he threw the cutter, not necessarily this weekend. He didn't throw as well this weekend, but last weekend, man, he made some really good hitters look foolish on that cutter end. So yeah, that's a weapon when guys can execute it.
Of course, Crimson Tide on the road this past weekend in Baton Rouge. You got the road game tomorrow against Sanford, then another Thursday through Saturday series, and we really are running out of home games. Only this Missouri series and the Georgia series left. What kind of home field atmosphere do you want to see for the Crimson Tide when we are at the Joe next couple series?
Yeah, I think it's an encouragement and a challenge all in the same. You know, I think the thing that's really neat is we've had people show up this year, and that's been cool. Like, when you just look out at the stadium and you see the stands full, you see people everywhere, which is awesome. Like, that's the first step in us continuing to build this, because that's what it is. This is a community we're building together. This isn't us being good on the field and they show up. This is us collectively together putting a product on the field here in town and creating an atmosphere. And I think that's what we just got to continue to do. It's got to be one of those places. The Joe is such an awesome venue. It's got to be one of those places that when people walk into it, they feel something different, you know. And I told this story about Trey Turner all the time. I told the Crimson Chaos this before the year started, you know. When he was in Philadelphia scuffling, and they gave him a standing ovation in the middle of that thing, and how that really lifted him, and he went on to a career year after that. And I think that's the thing that a really good home crowd can do is, you know, I challenge our guys to not be normal all the time. Normal is when we hit a homer, people stand up and cheer. That's normal, you know. But I want to be abnormal here. I want it to be an electric atmosphere. I want our fans to uplift our guys at times when they need it, and then it's our job to put something on the field and a product out there that they can get excited for and that they can get behind. So it's a collective effort, but we got 6 more games at home, and I want that place rocking for all 6. That Georgia weekend is going to be a big one.
Tickets available at RolledTide.com. Well, Coach, we look forward to seeing you not only tomorrow in Birmingham, first things first against Sanford, but, of course, this weekend against Mizzou. These fans are fired up for what's ahead for you and your baseball team. We are as well. Just thank you for your time. Roll Tide.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Roll Tide.
What's up? I'm Neil Hibbett, and you're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
There is nothing like Sweet Home Talladega. Don't miss out on NASCAR's return to Talladega Superspeedway on April 27th for the Jack Links 500. This is more than racing. This is Talladega. Purchase your tickets today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Fun conversation with Rob Vaughn. Best of luck to the Crimson Tide baseball team coming up this weekend as they get ready to host the Missouri Tigers. That's what leads off our upcoming schedule here on the network. Coming up later tonight, Alabama against Missouri, a 7 o'clock start time. Our radio coverage will start at 6:45 across the network. We will have a booth cam presented by MLB The Show coming up this weekend for baseball as well as some softball. And speaking of softball, tomorrow they will start their series against Missouri with a 6 p.m. first pitch coming up on Friday. Baseball also at 6 on Friday. And don't forget, for the final episode of Tide TV This Week, that'll be coming your way tomorrow to our TV affiliates as well as online, RolledTide.com. On Saturday, baseball will wrap up the series at 1 o'clock against Missouri. A great chance for a doubleheader. You have baseball at 1 o'clock, softball that night, 8 o'clock at Rhodes Stadium. So no excuses. Be at both games coming up on Saturday, and then finish it out on Sunday with a 2 o'clock first pitch for Alabama's final home game of the regular season in softball against Mizzou at 2 o'clock. And then on April 28th, Monday night, Hey Coach, 6 p.m. Remember, that will be in Foley, Alabama. Chris Stewart will be there in person with some special guests to wrap up the year of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Make sure you follow us at UA_CTSN for the very latest on Alabama athletics. And if you're watching this especially on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything from the Crimson Tide Sports Network. That's going to wrap up this very busy Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, as we talked about a little bit of everything with Sarah Ashlee Barker, women's basketball, Larry McReynolds, NASCAR, and plus what's ahead for Alabama football, and then Rob Vaughn talking Crimson Tide baseball, a really fun edition. We thank our guest for joining us today. We thank Ethan Carabin for putting the entire show together. He's going to be busy over the weekend producing these booth cams presented by MLB The Show. We certainly hope you can join us for all of that coming up for Alabama baseball and softball. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I'm Roger Hoover saying thanks for watching, have a great weekend, and Roll Tide.